like here, they're like ostracized from their communities, and there's a lot of very serious problems that occur that absolutely should not be occurring because of the simple solution behind it. I felt that it was wrong for me to be born in a very privileged area of the world that gets all the surgery and care that I require, to not do my bit to speak up and make sure that other children can get what I've received so fortunately.
When you started the foundation and the movement itself, how has the reception been? Do you feel like when it comes to people around us just accepting that somebody is born differently and should be treated with respect, and people trying to understand, are we at that position as a society, not just from the UK and also around the globe?
Yeah, I think for me, when I fundraise and do my raising of awareness, I think it's got better, but I think it's by far no means there, like in a position that I would want it to be, especially in certain areas of the world where there is a lot of misinformation. And as I said, that misinformation is, you know, it can quite literally change a family or a child's life. And that's kind of why I'm still here doing what I'm doing. If the job was done, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. And I think there's a lot more work to do. And really it should start from the very beginning of, you know, in schools we should be teaching people that, you know, everyone is different, you know, and hopefully that sort of follow through into, you know, older ages, and where people will begin to sort of respect each other from whether it's their culture, wherever they're from, or even how they look.
From the people that you've gotten to interact with, what would you say is the biggest misinformation about people living with cleft?
There's a few. So it depends, obviously, parts of the world. A lot of the ones with, I would say, there's sort of two I can think of mainly. One being when you're born with a cleft, it's sort of seen as like either a curse or you know, it's because the mum's taken something or done something like sort of witchcraft, when it's really not that.
It's not that.
And that actually in some countries can lead to children like being killed, or parents being literally like kicked out of their sort of community or like their tribes. And the other thing is definitely that a lot of people that do sort of know a bit about cleft think that it's just like a one-time surgery and then it's done. But actually, when you're born with a cleft, it's a very impactful, it's a life experience, right? You go through a lot of traumatic events, and that kind of trauma can stay with you, and you have to continue to go through speech therapy, other surgeries. You then have to deal with like going into school and that self-acceptance. So those are two big things, is that one, you know, cleft people are just born, you know, different. There's no reason behind it, you know, just like everyone else. And the second one is the fact that you know, it's simple to kind of fix like the physical aesthetics of what it looks like, but sort of deep down it's a lifelong thing.
So before we come to now look at how swimming now gets to integrate with cleft, let me get to just understand from you right now. It has been a journey for you so far. From 16 years, you decided to rise up and say, I'm going to advocate for this. When you look back and when you look at the present right now, what do you see as the biggest difference that has come about?
I think from what I've seen, when I first started sort of being very honest and open about my experiences and my story and advocating it, is definitely the openness of it. So usually, like if you were to search, when I was sort of starting like social media, like, you know, hashtag cleft it, when you're searching through to find other people, there was no one really talking about it. Whereas now, sort of in 2022, there's such an amazing community out there, where you can meet people from all around the world that are, you know, have similar experiences to you. And I think that makes it a lot easier for people to connect and talk to like-minded people that are going through the same thing, because I didn't get that, and that I think is a very big sort of positive.
So right now we have that conversation happening, and it's very important.
For sure, but I think it still needs to, I think we still need to be more open about it, especially in, as I said, low to middle income countries where I feel like there's still a bit much more of a taboo around it. Again, probably because of misinformation and things around that.
Now, as someone who was born with it and who has gone through the journey itself and just the surgery is trying to correct it, what would you say would be the best way to address the issue so that we remove the misinformation part, and also just the people, the kids that are born with cleft actually get the courage to actually talk about it and all that, and not get to be bullied?
That's a good question. I would say education and empowerment. So education for the people that believe wrongly, again, starting from at a school level, and also people that may have those false beliefs at an adult level. It's not their fault if they're taught incorrectly, it's just that's kind of why you should re-educate. And then empowerment for the children themselves. Obviously, if you're growing up in parts of the world where you think you're born from witchcraft or a curse, you're not going to want to talk out about the thing you have, or if you've had the repair and it's not as obvious, but you still know where it's come from, I think you're less likely to talk and speak up. And I think young children are very influenced by our elders and our families and the society around us. And I think if those sort of groups can empower the children to speak up, then you're going to get a much more open community.
Let's talk about Smile Train. It started in 2016, you say?
No, so I created my fundraising movement in 2013 for Smile Train, which was, I think, came back around the 1995, 96-ish.
Okay, so...
And I funded them.
You fund them?
Yeah.
Okay, so the donor funding, something like that?
Yeah, so I've donated, or I've raised, about, in shilling, roughly about 5 million Kenyan shillings.
Okay. And that has gone into helping the...
Yeah, so they provide free cleft care. So they, unlike any other cleft charity in the world, use a sustainable model where they help train surgeons and enable them to train other surgeons to provide the surgery for free. So that way, it's not like you're just giving money to fund a surgery. You're creating like a sustainable model where you can actually keep teaching other surgeons to keep providing surgery rather than just that one-time situation. Okay.
If you were to put it in numbers, how many people would you say have been impacted by Smile Train?
Roughly today, about 1.5 million.
Wow, that's a big number.
It's a big number. They do very well.
That's a good one. So when you look back, I'm sure you're very proud when you're looking at the numbers and say 1.5 million have actually been impacted by this.
Yeah, I mean, I've supported and funded and helped Smile Train for the past 10 years. Before they even sort of helped 1 million people. So to be able to watch people around the world continue to support them in, a cause that I'm extremely passionate about is incredible, and it should continue.
Okay. Now, you are an athlete, you swim. That also comes in handy when it comes to raising funds for Smile Train. But and your swimming actually acted as something, to some extent, therapy for you because of what you're dealing with. What will you say if you don't have someone to talk to, and you're going through, somebody's going through what you did go through? What would be the best way to go about in just dealing with that?
Yeah, these are good questions. For me, I think the one thing that got me to where I am today is to find something that you love and you're passionate about, and follow that, whether it's as a hobby or, I spoke to a lot of children in my time of fundraising, and a lot of them are like, oh, but swimming is really cool. Like, I don't, I can't swim, or I don't like swimming. And for me, it's really like, it doesn't matter how. You might like knitting or, you know, playing football, or playing rugby, or painting, whatever gives you that escape and helps you express yourself in the way that you find easiest. Do that, because it does enable you to open up and just be, you know, a much more communicative human being.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned that you swim long distance.
Yeah.
I'd like to, if I ask a question in terms of how long?
It depends. I mean, in my most recent event, I was during COVID, so 2021.
Okay.
Obviously when that lockdown and stuff was going on. And I think over the course of the summer, I was swimming quite regularly for between 6 and 8 hours at a time. And I managed to swim about 230 miles in the sea, which is like the equivalent of swimming from like England to France about 10 times.
Okay.
So quite a long way.
Okay. Let me get just understand in terms of the future. When you look at Smile Train right now and what you project and what your dream is for that foundation, what are you looking forward to?
I mean, I think my dream, if I was to wave a wand, is that every single child born on this planet gets the free surgery and comprehensive care that they desperately require and deserve. You know, for many that are born normal, so to speak, it doesn't look like a big problem, but it has such a simple solution, and it can quite literally give a whole life to someone. Like, if it wasn't for those surgeries, I would not have achieved what I've achieved today. So in some cases, it's not only given me a life, it's empowered me to actually go and make something of my life. So there's a lot of meaning behind it, and that's kind of why it's my dream to be able to achieve.
Wow, awesome. Now, you are in the country right now. Let's talk about Kenya.
That's it.
Where have you been so far?
So, we've been to around like the central business district, because we've been working here whilst I've been staying. I went to the Sheldrick Trust. I've always wanted to meet elephants.
Okay. Did you?
Yeah, I got a stroke an elephant. I was a very happy man, very happy man. And then we went to a coffee like farm. I got to sort of like essentially learn the experience of how, you know, the Kenyans make coffee. You make very good coffee in Kenya.
Thank you.
Thank you. But yeah, I'm now visiting children's hospitals in Kenya, and also some patients that have received care under Smile Train. So I'm getting to also meet some of the community here.
Okay. What's the reaction when you get to see people and just visit the people that have actually received care through Smile Train?
They are very, very grateful. I've spoken to many people, and not just in Kenya, but across the world, and often very emotional as well. You know, for these people, it's like their last chance. Like, without this, they're pretty hopeless. In some circumstances, it can be quite extreme. Like, as I said, to be removed from a community, or you know, your child can't go to school.
Yeah.
So to have that sort of given to them is like a gift, and they are so eternally grateful for that gift.
Now, I want people who are watching to understand what it does to someone if they actually bully them, especially if somebody is living with cleft. What would you say this does to somebody who is being bullied because of how they look?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that for me, the level of bullying I received, I explain it as it made me like a shell of a human being. Like, I ended up isolating myself, and I didn't really value myself as a person, and so I pretty much hid away for about a few years, actually, from literally just the words that come out of people's mouths. And I don't think people understand the impact that their actions have on others and their emotions, because people born with clefts already have their own internal problems, and that needs nurturing, not bullying.
Okay. Well, but we are healing. It is a process, though. I know.
It is indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Now, as we wind up right now, because we're running out of time, how does somebody get in touch when they want to, receive the services and all that, and somebody is watching somewhere and they are going through the same and would like to, get in touch with Smile Train? How do they get in touch with that?
Yeah, sure. So Smile Train are online, so you can simply go on Instagram, Facebook, Google, and just literally search in Smile Train.
Okay.
And they also have different sort of groups. So you have like Smile Train UK for the UK, Smile Train Kenya, they probably have a page as well. So that's a really good way of getting in contact with them. And if there's any people that watch or that know people with clefts anywhere, they can message me directly. I'm always more than happy to have a conversation it's mainly Instagram and Facebook, at Freestyle for Smile, and you'll find me.
Freestyle for Smile. And let me just, as I went up on this one, how swimming got to actually be incorporated with Smile Train. How did that come about?
So as I said, because of my cleft journey and my bullying, I dealt with that through swimming, because obviously through my mental health problems, that kind of helped me feel much more better and open and heal from the whole process of what I dealt with.
Okay.
And then when I found Smile Train at the age of 16, before that I didn't know that there were other children born with clefts that didn't receive care for free. And so when I found out that that was a problem, I decided to be in swimming for Smile Train, Freestyle for Smile.
Thank you so much. Your parting shot, your last words for somebody who is watching tonight at this moment.
Well, one, thank you for having me in Kenya.
You're welcome.
And two, if you ever need support, either go to Smile Train or you can talk to me at Freestyle for Smile.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nathan, for your time and being here with us and actually talking about it and sharing your journey with us. Really do appreciate that. And it's a journey, and we'll work with you together so that whoever is actually going through the same could actually get to be inspired and come out of, if it's the being put down, they find a reason to rise up again.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that does it for us here on the program. Thank you so much for making time and watching here, and continue enjoying the rest of your viewing here on Look Up TV.
So mimi nilikuwa mmoja wa timu kubwa ya Hasla na ngojea mazao yake.
Naam, bila shaka mpenzi mtazamaji, ni awamu nyingine tena ya bunge la mwenyeji ambapo tunasikia tu maoni ya wenyeji, hasa wananchi wa kawaida. Je, maoni ni yapi?
Anakwambia wananchi ndio kila kitu. Unaona dips na system ni wananchi. Unaona vile wamenyorosha watu bwana.
Tumeng'oa nanga kwenye bunge la mwenyeji.
So ile kitu lazima tunamuomba asituachilie.
There will be no handshake. The only handshake William Ruto is interested in is a handshake with the hustlers to give them the hustler fund. Ile handshake Dr. William Ruto ako haja naye ni handshake ya hawa viongozi wa kanisa. We want meaningful handshake for this country. Lakini hiyo barabara anaenda tunamjua. Afanya maandamano na rais tunakuomba akubaliwe afanye. Hata tupea askari wa mlinde, bora wasiguze mali yetu.
Hello, potential new friends. should really try this.
Good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experienced, still trusted God to see them through.
The seeds that was sown in me helped me navigate and overcome that period of my life.
New testimonies, new insights, and even better revelation of the good things God has in store for us.
There is always a blessing waiting for someone in every episode.
Hapa kazi tu inaendelea kuwasaka na kuwatambua wale ambao wanafanya kazi extraordinary na zile kazi za kujituma.
Biashara yote unaambiangwa, as long as you have a plan, you can do it. Our service is about to pressure the customer.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni hapa kazi tu.
Ni wakati wa mkutano. Jioni kwenye kamati ya kijiji.
Hadithi hii ilianza mwaka 1991.
Vipi kuhusu ngano kwa shamba langu kauka? Haina haja. Tutakupa kwa chapi tukafuje.
Mkoa unaojiendesha wa Nenshahui ulitekeleza sera ya makazi mapya ya kuhamisha watu wa maeneo yenye umaskini ya Shiaigu ili waweze kujikimu.
Ninatumaini sana kwamba siku moja jangwa hapa litakuwa kijani kibichi na mji wetu wa Mini utakuwa na miundombinu kamili.